Hey guys, how's it going? RedMaster, and welcome back to the second installment of the Mulligan guide series. Not really a series, just essentially a two-part video where if you guys haven't checked out the last one, we highly recommend doing so. Did a lot of discussion about the Mulligan theory, if you will, or at least the reasons why Mulligan is so important and what you're really looking for when you're doing a Mulligan. But in this video, we're going to show you some examples of some proper Mulligans, what an opening hand looks like for you, and what might be some good targets to mulligan away based on what we mentioned in that last video. So again, highly recommend that you check out that last video if you haven't done so already. And of course, just like last time here, we've got two special guests to help me. We've got Evade on one angle, corner,
Hey
side,
guys.
and we've got Jump on the other.
Hello.
Alright, and with that, very boring intros from them aside, let's go ahead and get into our first mulligan hand and show you guys how exactly we go through the mulligan process. Alright, so our first example here, we're taking a look at Drake's here, and we actually got dealt a pretty good hand, I would say. I think there's one obvious choice that we have to get rid of, right? Jump, I'll let you say it, not me.
This is fairly obvious. Yenneroth is being a 9-cost card. It's too much for the early opening hand, but the other ones have a nice flow from 1 to 2.
And hell, you could even maybe do the 1 from Dragon Search into maybe like a 3 if you pull an Ice Drake or something along those lines.
Exactly. So why don't we complete this and see how it turns out, which card we get in exchange. Another Dragon's Temple.
Which is not too bad. This I would say
not too bad.
Fairly okay hand. The Cloak of Ice, maybe wish it could be another unit, but it is what it is. And, I think Jump's going to have a good match, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, this would turn out to be a win. I can beat the Vikings AI with this for sure. To surrender.
Okay, so looking at our next hand here, there are a couple of things to consider. One, we are going second this time. We do have the coin to our side. But we also have some 4-drops. Centaur Armory. Obviously, I think there's going to be one thing that we are going to immediately discard. And, Vase, I'll let you point that one out.
Yeah, that's going to be the Pack of Wolves.
Right, we don't want that. But in regard to the Centaur or Armory, Vesa, tell me the thought process here on, if you think to mulligan them away.
Right. In this case, I would mulligan them both away. I would mulligan your entire hand away because I just don't see any of the staple units that are going to establish your board. Centaur is a card that you want to play off of another staple unit, and you just don't have any of those.
Right. Makes sense there. Any thoughts regarding the Bestial Rage? Like, even though it is a spell, even though it's going to be 1 gold, do you think we should still look for the units in this case?
I think it needs to be thrown away as well because it'll be more impactful on a higher cost unit. Even though it is a 1-cost card, it is a bit... I see it as a bit more of a late game card. The Armory is not too helpful without a unit to buff, and the Centaur has really poor stats for its cost. It just makes up for that with its companion aspect. So if you can't take advantage of that companion part of the card, then it's not a good card to keep.
Right, even though we can play it early with the coin, with that medallion, it's still not going to be as impactful as, maybe saving it. So I kind of agree with what you guys are saying, that we are going to indeed mulligan the entirety of the hand away. We'll see what maybe we can pull. Again, different hand. Oh, okay. The Wizard can be played on turn 2, Mana Core followed up, or the opposite order if I wanted to, and there's a Beastmaster for later on. So, not necessarily too bad of a hand, but, yeah, definitely probably better than the one we originally had.
Alright guys, so for this example we're going to be playing a pretty typical red-purple awakening deck. Now, I think hopefully you would have guessed by now that we're going to get rid of our high-cost cards. So this one is too far into the late game, and I'll pass it over to the other guys to talk about what they think about the spells.
Right. I'm going to take, of course, the easy option here and take away the right. We don't necessarily have an Awaken unit to fully utilize that right now, so I wouldn't recommend it worth keeping. Even though this is an Awaken deck, it's not a guarantee that we're going to find another, few units or Awaken units per se to really make use of it. You want to see that maybe later in the matchup when you have a few Awaken units already established on the board. Something like a Headwood, maybe, that you can activate later, maybe play the Headwood, and then maybe you can see the right afterwards. That would be at least my opinion. So, um, you know, I don't recommend keeping the right. The other two I think are fine. The Fear with the draw, especially maybe buying yourself an extra turn, is fine there, and of course Arcfire as a burn is okay. I can understand if you maybe want to sub out the Arcfire to, see if you can get an Awaken unit, but, I'll toss it to Vesa to see what he thinks about Arcfire.
Right. For me personally, I would trade away the Arcfire. I think the Fear is okay to keep. I think it's also debatable that you could toss it. I think that I would toss it, but I think a lot of other players would want to keep it. But I also think that I'm not as high on Fear as other players are, so maybe I'm underrating it.
Right. So I think in most matchups, I would want to throw away the Fear here, but it might be something to look at your opponent in this scenario to see, oh, am I playing against something that's more of an aggressive deck or something that's more of a passive deck? If it's aggressive, you might want to keep that Fear. If it's passive, then you might want to throw it away, and you just trust that you have some survivability early game anyway, and hope that you get an early unit.
So what's the verdict on this one?
In this example, if I was against a deck that's running Vikings or Crusaders, I would throw it away.
All right. So
Right. And another point I'd like to make about Fear is, it's a cantrip. It's a card that's going to replace itself. And that's, what mulliganing is anyways.
Exactly.
So you can already recycle it for free and hopefully get some units early to where you're not worried about the early aggression as much. You already have the card like Asada in this case to hopefully get out there, activate his Awaken ability, and then if you do, put them up for a trade with another early unit that your opponent has.
Yeah, excellent point that the Fear is so often used as a card that's essentially a mulligan partway through the game. You just throw it out for free, and it kind of decreases your deck size so that you're more likely to draw the cards that you really need to win the game. So being able to do it for free. No, this is looking pretty strong.
This looks
good. We can do a Masuta on turn 2, and his Awaken effect will make Darkbender playable on turn 3. So hopefully by then we can draw a 4-drop or another 3-drop to play.
Or you just meditate on Darkbender and then set up an invincible force on the very first turns of the game.
Turn 4 you could play meditate right and just trust that your opponent can't take down an 8 health unit and just start whacking him for 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite a good hand.
All right, and so for our last sort of example here, I would say this is a pretty fantastic hand to work with. Obviously, aside from one immediate mulligan, Besa, do you want to just throw it out there right now?
That would be the Arbiter.
Exactly. Arbiter being 9 gold, we're not going to see use for it inside the early game at all, so we're going to take away that. But what's great about this one here, or at least this hand, we can go from an Elvish Thief on turn 2 directly into a School turn 3 without really wasting the coin, the medallion that we are given as a turn 2 player, which can help us further draw from the School of Knowledge. So I think that's kind of a pretty important note to make, and considering the color here, our opponent's playing yellow, I don't particularly find yellow very aggressive early on, right? Jump, you don't see yellow as too aggressive, right? Sometimes
No, yellow with its healing and
draw.
its armor and its draw, it's definitely more of a defensive faction.
Right, right. So I can get away with having a hand like this, where I mean, maybe I'll run into a rider or a lumberjack, sure, because they pretty much are everywhere. They're universal. But I can take advantage of the elvish thief, maybe get some early ramp, help me, generate some draw for the school, and propel my game from there. So we are going to sub out the arbiter, see where that gets us. Maddie, and Maddie's not a bad pickup for me either. Definitely can use that later on, I would say. So, and then draws an armory, but not can't use that now in turn 1, turn 2, but maybe definitely down the line we could certainly get that bad boy out if we wanted to. So yeah.
One point
overall,
I'd like to make, if you don't mind,
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
this is, for this deck, you kind of have to play differently because you've got the School of Knowledge. But a lot of times, if I saw a hand like this and it was not a school deck, then I would prefer to meddle into an Elvish Thief on turn 1 and follow that up with an Elvish Thief the following turn because, just to stay aggressive. Obviously, this is a school deck and you're wasting the value of the metal by using it on turn 1. So you're going to want to hold on to that and you play it after the school. But in a lot of cases with different decks, when I see the two drops when you're going second, then I like to go ahead and drop that metal and get that 2-drop down on turn 1.
Right, right. So great point to make there. I don't really have any complaints on that one. Jump, do you have anything to add or?
I just want to stress that the school doesn't do anything immediately when you drop it, but you absolutely do want to keep it in your mulligan because, as I said in yesterday's video, it's one of your win conditions for this deck.
Right.
So if you don't see a school in this deck, it's you might want to play a bit more of an aggressive mulligan, getting rid of more cards that you wouldn't necessarily get rid of in other decks, because you need to see that as early as possible.
Fair point. And with that, guys, before we end off this video, let's actually jump into a live match now and show you guys a bit more of the thought process behind, mulligans and whatnot. Because we've actually been showcasing against the AIs, and obviously that does factor in a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and jump into a live match.
I
Okay,
was not
so
impressed.
we're opening up on another pretty okay hand. I think right now I'm looking to see what we can sub out, and I'm seeing Bestial Rage as a potential target. How do you guys feel?
For sure.
Yeah, so it combos well with a wizard, but I think it would be nice to see an earlier drop. So let's swap it out.
We're gonna get
Just me with the amount of 3 drops that you have or 2 drops that you have in this deck. I think that I would have only kept 1 3-drop and tried to go for a 2-drop.
Oh, there's my 2-drop.
So we
There
did get a 2-drop here, and I wanted to point out that while this looks like we have tons of 3-drops here, if we play a Southport Captain on turn 3, our next turn will be 6 gold, and we'll be able to play 2 more. So it actually does work out quite nicely.
I got ourselves a House of Daggers here.
Yeah, House of Daggers, and it's a mirror match in terms of colors.
Oh yeah.
You definitely go Southport Captain here to play out the
Yeah, and that's just going to set up the Windfall Drake.
the ramp that I was just talking about.
I just drew Griffin.
Well, even without the Griffin, you can play 2 3-drops or 1 6-drop next turn.
Right. Oh, hello.
Now, in general, for general usage, I guess, you were asking wizard or blacksmith. It's always better to play your wizard first and then the global buffs after, right before you're about to interact with your opponent. So in this example, you've got 3 health to deal with. So the blacksmith is excellent for taking out the bear.
Yeah.
And then you can follow up with 1 of whatever you want. And then if you were to look at positioning, you're thinking ahead, okay, where am I going to want to put this rat hovel likely on my next turn, depending on if he plays something different.
That is just not nice.
With 5 gold to deal with on this turn, you could do a rat hovel with a captain.
I mean, that's kind of your only play here.
Yeah,
Do I play the hovel more up top, or should I?
I would play it on the same row as your castle on the opposite side of the shooter.
So like back here.
No,
up one in
on the
row.
same level as your castle, but on the opposite side of the shooter. So you're gonna want to play the Southport captain first.
I almost moved him.
Or you could move. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. And you're gonna want to move your wizard away too, because
out of range. Just
that's a scary big shooter.
Please don't touch me, sharpshooter.
Now, I wonder if he's gonna outramp our Ranger Danger deck. He's got 8 money here.
No, he's just gonna make this thing strong.
Is Now, if he just wants to buff 1 unit, oh well, there goes that plan.
Yeah, so I think you're just really gonna try and want to push right here.
Yeah, I'd say move the rat forward 3, and the captain forward 3, and then put your ranger right in that middle spot. And since his dwarf only has 2 movement, he can't escape the movement range of your ranger for the next turn.
I'm going to touch this sharpshooter next turn.
He will.
I also love
And
how
he
this
will
has
like it.
essentially turned into you guys coaching me on how to play this deck. I know we're supposed to be doing mulligans here, folks, but it's always fun to have a little bit of an extra match in here, just so you guys, you know, have a little fun seeing how mulligans can really impact the game, as you're seeing with this match. Oh, hello.
Interesting. He's got a griffin. Now, with a scope here, you could take out the griffin.
Yeah, one thing to think about is that you can take out the shooter with the captain and the rat.
Right. Oh, and then you know what you could do is, well, it's not the best play, but you could put a scope on the Elvish Thief.
Oh, you guys know I'm good at that. Don't
Yeah, or you could just scope up the ranger, you know, and save him a little bit of health.
Yeah.
It's not gonna kill him.
You could also just advance a Windfall Griffin and dominate the board with units.
Yeah, I think the Windfall Griffin might be the best play.
Yes.
Should I hold off on attacking though?
I don't even think I'd attack. I don't think I would.
Just rush forward, dare him to
Please touch me first.
to try and do anything.
That's gonna be the motto of this game. Please touch me first.
And he's got to deal with that captain, or else his armory's gone. So he's got a lot of threats to deal with here. And you're basically forcing him to make a bad decision.
Helpful. Oh, yep, there goes captain. So he does value the armory, which is important to note. And I am going to lose this. But that's fine, because that rat... Okay.
That's fine, because your rat...
We have scope.
Yeah. So you want to scope on a big... Oh, no, even better. Centaur takes out the armory and it dies.
That's true.
So you could... a slightly better play would have been to play the Elvish Thief forward, combo your Centaur off of that, and then you get to attack the castle with your Griffin.
The moment I started moving, and the moment you perked up, I'm like, shit, wait, hold on.
Alright, I'll just play the Thief and...
You're gonna be a little more risky with him, because I think it's going to force him to make plays.
At this point, he doesn't have a chance of coming back. There are too many strong units being buffed on our side.
Yeah, this shaman can trade with nothing. He should have thrown it up top to deal with the Elvish.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he didn't really. I think he's trying to protect his castle, but failed miserably. So you just attack his castle and throw at the con artist.
I'm wondering if I should. No, we'll be extra annoying today.
Yeah, perfect.
It's
And
like
he's
I
he's
could
in a.
trade, but nah.
Well, no, you want to attack the castle when you can, force him to trade on the defensive turn. Oh, he's gonna get a lot of buffs there. See, there you go. Somebody else who uses that card.
Okay, listen. It's not a bad card.
So this is our Ranger Danger deck, but we have not drawn
We
any.
have what?
There we go.
There.
I was gonna say call for raids, and if you attack, you can play one of them too. Brilliant.
Yeah, where's the Rangers? Here they are.
There they are.
By the way, we're
Ranger
not going to show
Danger.
this deck list. We're just not going to show it because I'm going to show you guys this maybe another time because I want to have a little fun
Okay.
with this. And Leanna, you kill my fun.
Oh, well,
honestly.
I don't know why he didn't trade there, because this way you get a free trade. He can't attack back if you attack the castle. And then you get another free trade with a scoped ranger.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to put it right up here.
That's exactly what I would do too.
And there goes. Vesa, you've been quiet. Are you doing alright over there?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You're just playing so well, you know, there's really not a whole lot I have to say.
Oh. That's okay, guys. Vesa didn't leave us. I swear he likes us.
You guys are my friends.
So, he thinks he can outpace you for some
He
reason.
realizes that there's
No, he's just desperate.
He just wants to
Okay.
see how much damage he can get on the board. And there, a good old 69 XP and a brilliant demonstration of why the mulligan is so
Nice.
important, especially for a deck such as this. Very nice. Boys, anything to kind of say about the matchup, or are you guys good?
No, yeah, I like the deck, you know. I like Ranger Danger. I've had a couple Ford Rangers myself, you know, so.
I like how we've just...
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Don't accept candies from Rangers, kids.
Oh my god. Alright, with that, this may be a good time to close out this mulligan-based video. Oh, Jesus. Alright guys, with that being said, I hope you did enjoy this edition of, I guess, our little two-part mulligan series that we did here. Hopefully you learned a bit of something out of this. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of how the mulligan works. And thanks again to Jump and Vasevent for coming on, helping me today. Appreciate your help, guys. Anything else to say to the audience before I close it out here?
No, I think we're good, man.
Yeah, just make sure that you're thinking ahead a few turns during your mulligan process and establishing a plan as you saw us do in this video.
Exactly, right on. So, with that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to give a like if you enjoyed, and of course, share with your friends, and comment down below if you've learned anything useful, or maybe if you want to cover, have us cover some other topics. I know I might have an additional video in the works about deck building mistakes. We'll get, hopefully, into that one in a few days or so. In addition to commenting down below, you could also subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. It's the best way to support the channel. I believe, actually, as I'm recording this video, we did hit 700 subs, so thank you guys for that. And, yeah, with that being said, that's going to do it for me for now. So until next time, stay gaming.